Hi, welcome to What the Flick. I'm Christy. That is Alonzo. That is Matt. The latest from Armando Iannucci is the darkly funny and biting The Death of Stalin. Tell us about it, Alonzo.
So yeah, Iannucci is the guy behind Veep and In the Loop, and this is a movie about what happens when a vacuum occurs in a totalitarian system, but it's also hilarious. So yeah, not a spoiler to reveal that Stalin dies, and then it all becomes about who's going to take over and how are things going to change in the Soviet Union, and what are the shuffling power structures, and who's going to stab each other in the back, and who's maybe literally going to stab each other in the back. Take a look.
Stalin would have wanted the committee as one.
All those in favor? Carried unanimously.
Rushed, not rushed.
Whatever.
Not rushed. Rushed?
Would you stop with this? I want to make a speech at my father's funeral.
No problem.
Technically, yes, but practically.
When I said no problem, what I meant was no problem. Ignore me.
So it's an interesting cast.
Yes.
It's an interesting choice from Iannucci to have nobody do a Russian accent.
Yes,
I love that
right.
about it. So the American actors like Jeffrey Tambor and Steve Buscemi are doing American accents.
Yeah.
And the British actors like Jason Isaacs and Michael Palin, the vast majority of the cast are doing British
Rupert
accents.
Friend, Andrea Riseborough.
Right, and Andrea Riseborough is great in it.
Yeah.
Jason Isaacs is hilarious.
He is, but I feel like that
They
makes
don't
this
Red
contemporary.
Sparrow it.
Yeah. They're not hunting moose and squirrel. So, but that gives it an edge, and it gives it a contemporary nature during this period piece. It's really dark, and it's really darkly biting. And I feel like it goes to darker, meaner places even more strongly than a lot of his other previous stuff has.
Right. The thing that struck me about this movie is that it is as sharp, and I mean razor sharp, like Iannucci does. Right. You see people, you hear people say things in this that you just, and it's a measure of how good the actors are, that they sell that it's spontaneous, that people will say this stuff, and it's just horrifying to hear the things that they say. And yet, as opposed to what you see in The Loop or the show that spun off of, which is The Thick of It, or Veep, people's lives are at stake. Like, it's that same level of like razor sharp wit.
Yeah, no one's being lined up and shot.
Right, about right. It's as if the characters and the dialogue we get in Veep, you're hearing them discuss the lists of people that are going to be killed, or are we going to go through with this next pogrom or are we not? Who are we going to blame it on? Who's going to be thrown under the bus for all these killings, and who's going to get taken out and shot? And it's horrifying.
But always funny, and that's
funny.
That's the challenge of movies like this. On Who Shot You, we had a conversation recently about dark comedy, and the thing about dark comedy is that the violence or whatever is bringing the dark part of it has to be real enough to give it stakes, but it can't overwhelm the comedy. But at the same time, if the comedy can't overwhelm the violence, or else then it doesn't mean anything. And so he just rides that fine line where, like, yeah, people are getting shot in the head and apprehended and rounded up and all these terrible things, and people are ordering awful things to happen. But it's really funny because it's that Iannucci thing of like bluster and of people just covering their own ass and being vain and always thinking about their own ambition and their own place in the pecking order and trying to preserve that and taking down the other guy. And so, this is like, it's Glengarry Glen Ross, but with, death squads.
Right, the difference with this and the other political stuff that's a little bit more contemporary that we've seen from Iannucci, or what you're talking about with Mamet stuff, this isn't people getting their lives ruined. It's people getting their lives ended. And that makes for a level of gallows humor that I can't remember the last time I saw somebody do gallows humor this well in a movie.
I mean, you're laughing, and then like the laugh catches in your throat because you're like, okay, that's gonna happen now. So you say he rides this line, but quite often here, and more often here than we've ever seen before with Iannucci, he goes over that line into like, okay, this is serious now, and it becomes a horror film in a lot of ways.
But then he finds a way to bring it back to being funny again.
He dips a toe.
Sure,
yes, or the entire foot.
And I guess the horror, it makes me think of that phrase, the banality of evil, right? The horror is that the pettiness and the kind of it's the level of backbiting that you see in companies that this committee is doing to each other that is costing, in some cases, hundreds of people their lives. And
It's just lists of names, which on their level is just lists of names. For somebody else, it's actually having to break into the apartment, grab the guy, throw him into a truck, take him to the place, and
then the list changes depending on who's filing the list.
Exactly.
There's that scene, and I won't spoil it, but there's that scene of the firing line in Volga, in the prison in Stalingrad, right? Or I'm sorry, in Siberia, where there's the firing line as the news comes in.
And there's a change in policy.
There's a change in policy, and it's horrific, and then there's a beat where you kind of want to start laughing, and it's just, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
So do we think, and I have not read any articles that said this one way or the other, is this supposed to be like an allegory for our current times with Trump? Like is Jeffrey Tambor, who assumes control after Stalin dies, at least temporarily, is just this preening buffoon, and everyone around him, they're all undermining him. There are all these internal struggles for power. And then the daughter, Andrea Riseborough, who was Stalin's daughter, shows up and she's level-headed and she wants control. But then Rupert Friend, as the son, is also just this crazed idiot. And
he was my favorite one in the movie.
Is this meant to be our time? And then there's like a Steve Bannon figure.
Right.
I want to say Simon Russell Beale, who is like
the head of the secret police.
The truly devious one. Is he a Steve Bannon figure here? Can you interpret it?
I don't think you'll throw your back out trying to make that connection.
But has Iannucci said that that's what his intention was?
It compresses the history of what happened with Beria, and that it happens a lot. What happens with Beria in the movie is a lot faster than what happened in history. They show what happens in a couple of days, what actually took a few months to go down with Beria, the Bannon character you're talking about. But Malenkov, the Tambor character, was seen as weak and was easily manipulated, and it doesn't seem like it's. But then again, that's history through the lens of what Khrushchev went on to say about those guys. Because as we all know, Khrushchev was leader of the Soviet Union for a long time. So did what we think about in the history go down according to the narrative? And they talk about this in the movie, that like the narratives change, the historical narratives change. So maybe what we see here is something closer to reality than whatever got reported out of there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Steve Buscemi is Khrushchev, and he's really
yes.
good. The whole cast is really great. Yeah, it's just it definitely it's a hard movie to watch. I mean, it's very if you like his stuff, it's very much in that vein, but it's a more challenging.
If this isn't for you, you'll know in the first 10 minutes. Right. Also, if it is for you.
All right, so our numbers?
I'm saying 8.
8.5.
Okay.
What did I give it?
You said 9.
A 9? Yeah,
So
I love this movie.
8.5 for us. It's at 95% on the tomato meter. It opened in New York and LA last weekend, but I believe it's going wider, so try to find it.
Yeah, and if you can find it, you decide you want to, you can buy your tickets through adamtickets.com. Use the promo code WTF5. We've partnered with them, and you will get $5 off tickets should it be playing near you.